Great. Okay, so welcome to Inner Guidance and Service. Really excited. A couple of rules for the class. First, we're going to do some writing. Second, minimize as many distractions as possible, interruptions, cell phones, whatever. Have water and mute your audio until I give an opportunity for questions and comments unless it's urgent, and then just raise your hand and then you can unmute. This just minimizes background noise, which tends to pull the focus of the camera. So inner guidance is something very powerful and dear to me because I have lived a life of guidance. And I sort of knew it, but didn't really acknowledge it and realize it until much later in my life. And what I mean by that is all throughout my life, I have received clear impulse, information, knowing, feeling, in regards to something that I needed either immediately or somewhere down the road, such as the first time I think was when I saw martial arts and I got this feeling. I call it urgent excitement. And it was something that's a knowing, it's a feeling in the body. It's not a thought, it's something that you feel, in which I knew right then, I need this, I want this, I'm going to have this. And based on that initial experience, I learned to recognize that feeling of sort of urgent excitement throughout my life. And that's just one aspect of inner guidance in regards to when you encounter something that is very important for you, for your development. So I would describe inner guidance really as just listening and honoring what you are feeling, what you are receiving. And it's about listening through your heart to your gut and with your greater awareness, which I like to define as your greater soul consciousness. This is that part of you that's animating the physical body that, from my perspective, has a mission, so to speak, and that's where the service comes in with inner guidance. What do I need as a soul in a physical form in order to continue to grow and expand? Because life, for me, life incarnate here in the physical realm, from a spiritual perspective, is one of learning and growth and expansion. So that covers a lot of category, a lot of different dimensions in that. Part of my model is that we are multi-dimensional. We are not just three-dimensional. So if we look at it in terms of the physical body as one dimension, the emotional body is another, the mental body is another, the imaginative body is another dimension, the spiritual body, the soul body. We have many, many dimensions all layered into our being as multi-dimensional beings. So listening in this context isn't just listening with your ears or seeing with your eyes. It's listening on multiple dimensions simultaneously. So effective listening is contingent upon your ability to create and maintain what I call the neutral space. The neutral space of infinite possibility, infinite creativity. This is a dimension in itself. I call it the neutral verse, like the universe, the multiverse, the neutral verse. It is one dimension that we embody all the time. But listening through neutral or embodying neutral is often a huge challenge. And it's become more so in probably the last 15 years than it has historically before that time, largely due to what I call the interference field. And this is an artificially generated energy field, largely generated by our technology, our media, our cell phones, our computers, noise. It's like constant static that's going on all the time. It's pulling our focus constantly. Um, if you're looking at your phone, if you're consuming media, you are taking in other dimensional um, narratives that make you begin to explore those narratives, such as what if. So if I look at the news on my phone or my computer and I see a fearful narrative, I start thinking, well, what if that happens to me? Or what if this happens near me? And now I am no longer in neutral. I am in a reactive state based on what I'm choosing to focus on, interpret, and react to. So the neutral state requires that you detach. And that's why I say at the beginning of the class, minimize all distractions, turn off your phones, your computers, so that your focus is not constantly being redirected away from the space that we will create shortly. So having an awareness of the interference field, however you see it, feel it, imagine it, to me, it just feels like noise, a lot of noise. Now, I live in New York City, and there's a lot of noise all the time. And that is also an interference field, but that is a different resonance, a different frequency from the electronic resonance of our technology. So environmentally, there can be a lot going on. Doesn't mean that you can't generate and hold a neutral space, not at all. It's just going to require more effort. A few steps to creating neutral. First one is clear the mind. And I like to use a simple practice that I teach in all my classes. It's called a brain dump. And that is you write for 2 minutes, whatever is on your mind. It's just to get the contents of your mental space cleared out of your body and put onto paper or put onto your computer. Now, I will time it on my phone and I will give you 1 minute and 30-second warnings as to when it's going to be up. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just whatever thoughts you're holding. And I say this because the mental field within the mental body, within the physical body, is capable of holding a lot of content. And we often add content such as I have a to-do list or an agenda, or I'm thinking about this narrative, or about my relationship, on my health issue. All of that, once you bring it into the mental field, stays there until you decide consciously to empty it. And that's what the brain dump is for. So are we ready to start with the brain dump? Yes? Okay. So either on paper or on your computer, I want you to just write whatever comes to mind starting now. And while you're writing, be aware of breathing and feeling. If you clear your mind in 10 seconds, keep writing for 2 full minutes, stream of consciousness, whatever comes to mind. And breathe. Just keep writing. Don't think. Notice what pops up in your awareness. Put it on the paper. One minute. Be aware of breathing, feeling. 30 seconds. Breathe. 15 seconds. 5 seconds. And take a deep breath in and stop. Okay, now, throughout this class, if something comes to mind that does not have a reference to the class itself, write it down. Don't try to hold it in your head and juggle it and cycle it while you're trying to listen to this. Anything, this doesn't matter. Don't judge yourself. This is just natural. If it pops into your head, write it down so you can see it after the class is over. There it is, and you can pick it back up again. Clear? Any comments or questions so far? Okay. Now, it's important when you are doing a brain dump, and this is an effective little mini tool to do throughout your day, especially when you need to clear your mind. We're constantly generating input. It's important to be aware of breathing and feeling while you are aware of the content of what's in your mind. Breathing and feeling. If you stop breathing, the movement and flow of the mental body also stops moving. And so whatever's in your mind kind of locks up and freezes temporarily. So you're going to hear me say it again and again. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now, so the first step is clear the mind. The second one is calm your heart. How do you calm your heart? Well, two aspects to that. In uh, Tai Chi and Chinese medicine, the character for heart and mind are the same because they make a distinction between the intellect part of the mind and the awareness part of the mind, which is connected to the heart. Okay? So to calm the heart, first you have to empty the mind because your heart is going to respond to the contents of your mind. If I've got a lot going on in my intellect and in my field of awareness, my heart will match that in rhythm, in frequency. So if I want to calm my heart, I have to clear the mind, doing the brain dump that we just did. So we just did the brain dump, clear the mind now. Tempo. How do we calm the heart? We slow it down. Now that the mind is a little clearer, I want to start to slow down my heart, and that I do with my breath. So I'm going to start with how I feel right now, and my heart is reflecting in its tempo whatever I am feeling right now. Acknowledge, accept, and allow where you are, what you're feeling, and that internal rhythm. And now just take 3 breaths at that level into the nose. Release it like a sigh. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do 3 more breaths, another set, and we're going to slow it and soften it just a little bit. Breathe in a little deeper, a little slower. Let it out. Slow it down a little bit more, not too much. 1 more. Slow it down. We're going to do 1 more set of 3, a little slower and a little softer. 1. Soften your focus, your body, your breath. 2. 1 more. 3. Good. Now, notice how you feel and breathe. There's no right or wrong way to feel. By focusing on your breathing in sets of 3 with an intention to soften and slow down, you also detach from everything else, really. You clear the mind even a little further after the brain dump. So it's important to understand that by focusing fully or exclusively on the breath, on the intention, you effectively detach from pretty much everything else just for a little while. And that's all it takes. Okay? So we've cleared the mind with the brain dump, calmed the heart by slowing down the tempo with breath and with the intention to soften and slow down. And now we have acknowledged the gut, that gut feeling, the gut instinct. And it's really from the solar plexus, just below your sternum, all the way down to the first chakra. So it would be like, I would say the gut is composed of the first 3 chakras, the bottom 3 chakras. The solar plexus and the second and the first chakra are all connected to the body and to the present space-time. When we get up into the heart, into the throat, into the third eye, and the crown, we start moving into other dimensions. But the bottom 3 chakras are really about this dimensional experience in the physical body, in the present space and time. Now, I want you to place your hands on your belly and just gently breathe. And as you breathe in, allow your abdomen to expand like a balloon inflating. As you exhale, gently pull it in. Do that a few times. Feel that region of your body, the gut. Notice what you feel emotionally and energetically as you bring your attention to that area. And at the moment, you may not feel much at all because we're heading more into a neutral space right now. Okay, good. Now, here's the thing about the gut. The solar plexus, which is what we call the lower mental body, which develops between the ages of like 3 and uh, 5 or 7, is one aspect of it. It's kind of like radar. It's constantly reaching out, expanding through the body and into the environment and scanning the environment to sense for danger, for threat of some kind, or just to listen, just to listen. So those of you that might be struggling with anxiety due to hypervigilance, that means you're always on guard, your solar plexus is in overdrive. And you will learn how to modulate that and sort of like turn the volume and the intensity down so that you can gently scan your environment. Or if you're working, like if you're a Reiki practitioner and you're working with a client, just to very gently scan that person and pick up feeling and energy and information. You don't have to go full tilt, 100% wide open, not at all. It's just a very gentle scanning. The gut does not lie. The gut cannot lie. The gut feeling of instinct and lower intuition is not able to distort its perception the way that the intellect and the rational mind can. So when you get a feeling in the gut, you must pay attention, all right? Uh, some examples, and I'm sure you all have many examples. A simple one would be your phone rings, and instantly you sense, you feel, you know who's calling without looking at the phone. And I'm sure that's happened to everybody. Another example might be you're walking down the street and you don't feel safe. You get that little tightening feeling in the gut to alert you that there is a threat or danger of some kind. Another example might be you might be in a restaurant, a bar, party, and you sense and feel that someone is looking at you, and as you scan around, you see someone's actually looking at you. Your body is constantly receiving input from the environment. Now, remember, the interference field is all that noise is constantly coming into your body as well. And that is why we need to create a boundary for ourselves to protect ourselves from outside stimuli. And I can do this walking down the street. I don't have to retreat to my mountain cave in order to have that peace and quiet. The idea is to be able to tune in and listen any place, anytime. So learning how to respect that gut instinct, that feeling that often we just disregard with our rational mind because we just say, nah, I'm not going to pay attention. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I think one of the best examples, and this is something that I have observed with many clients and students, is the issue of betrayal in relationships. And that is, you enter a relationship and you give of yourself and you give your trust to someone, and at some point that trust is betrayed. And then we often want to blame that other person. But in working with people individually who are struggling with that issue, I will take them back in time to the moment they met that person and ask, what was your gut feeling about that person the moment you met them? And you have to breathe. Now, if you have that dynamic or that issue right now, just go ahead and scan yourself with any individual that you have been betrayed from and go back to the moment you first met them. Breathe. Imagine where you were, the circumstance, the environment, and that first connection. Did you trust them immediately? Or was there a little alarm that went off in your gut that said, ooh, pay attention, be careful. I don't really trust this person. But what often happens is they look good, they sound good, and within a few moments, I'm no longer paying attention to my gut instinct. I have overridden it with my intellect and my rational mind. Now understand, we can rationalize anything. Okay, so now clear the mind, calm the heart, and listen to the gut. It's important to ground it. Basic grounding. Imagine your lower three chakras with roots extending from your legs into the ground. And be aware of your connection to the ground. So, 4 connections: breath, center, ground, and space. Breath, center, ground, and space. If I want to tune in, and I'm going to ask myself one of the prime questions we'll get to in a moment, such as, what do I need now? I want to be grounded and aligned, centered in the present. That means I have to be connected. Grounding is connection. So I want to connect to the ground by being aware of breathing in through my nose, send it all the way down through my center, down my legs, through my feet into the ground. Have a gentle awareness of your feet on the floor and the space that you are currently in. Breath, center, ground, space. This is 4 dimensions of awareness. It takes no effort. Just clear intention. If I get what I call a ping, it's a little um, alert in my gut, no matter where I am or what's going on, I immediately ground myself with those four connections before I even consider asking what's going on. Because if I'm not in alignment, in the present, in my body, in this space and time, I will filter the question of what is going on through whatever content I'm holding in my mind. And that's where distortion comes in. We often distort the purity of whatever stimuli we are getting through whatever filter we are holding in our mind. And that's why we got to clear the mind. And we'll learn how to clear the mind quickly, okay? So that I can perceive the truth of this moment in the now, in the present. Perceive the truth, not a distorted sense of what is going on in the now. And part of that distortion can be emotion. If I am in a reactive state emotionally, it will filter my perception. If I am holding an agenda or a narrative in my mind, it will become a filter of my perception. So this is something we learn in martial arts at a very high level, how to tune into our environment and listen through the body in the present moment very, very quickly to get a pure, clear read on what's going on. That is part of creating the neutral space that I spoke of earlier. If I follow those steps and I clear my mind, calm my heart, and I connect to and ground my gut in the present through breath, center, ground, space, step one. Now, step two is to soften, smile, breathe, and listen. Soften, smile, breathe, and listen. And I know you've heard me say it if you studied Tai Chi with me. But now we have to really apply this in the context of listening deeply to oneself. Soften your intensity of focus in your eyes. As you breathe in through the nose, imagine that breath coming in through the filter of your eyes. And if I have a soft, gentle smile in my eyes as I breathe in, it's going to help to soften my whole core, my nervous system, my whole body. Soften, smile, breathe. And now I'm listening with my whole body without judgment or expectation. This is the biggest challenge. To soften, smile, breathe, and listen without judgment or expectation. We are conditioned to judge everything habitually and reflexively without thinking about it. We get a feeling and immediately we go into our mind and say, what's that? That's bad. That can't be good. Oh my God. What if this is someone who's stalking me? And it happens so quickly that we're unaware of it. We have to become aware of our habitual reflexive programming that kicks in the moment we become aware of anything. We want to go in and judge it. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right or wrong? Those are moral judgments. We want to listen without those filters. Okay, I'm not saying live without moral morals and ethics, not at all. You have to be able to essentially turn off your moral and ethical body momentarily so that you can listen without habitually judging yourself. Clear? Any comments yet? All right, so now that's judgment. Now expectation. Expectation, again, we are programmed, we are conditioned all throughout our lives to have expectations, to do well in school, to get good grades, to be a good person. We are expected by everybody. And then we form expectations of ourselves. Often an expectation takes us out of the present and into the near or distant future. So if I get a ping in my gut and I start to imagine that something is going to happen, it hasn't happened yet. Going to happen is shifting out of present into near or distant future. And that will create fragmentation of mind from body. And if you are fragmented, you are not in alignment. If you're not in alignment, you cannot perceive clearly. Okay? So expectations, we have tons of them. We have a whole filing cabinet of expectations. It would be a good thing to clear those out because there cannot be an expectation in the present if you are to perceive and receive what is happening clearly, the truth of the moment. You have to let go of expectation. This takes insight. You have to look inside yourself when you habitually react, judge, and then have an expectation. Now, as actors, as most of all of you are, you know that if you have an expectation of your performance, it affects the quality of your performance. You're not going to be fully in the given circumstances. If you have an expectation of your audience as to how you wish them to react to you, and they do not, your expectation is not fulfilled. And then you will react to your unfulfilled expectation, usually with disappointment or frustration. All of that creates noise and interference in your ability to perceive clearly. I want to go back a little bit again. Clear the mind, calm the heart, listen to the gut, connect to the ground, breath, center, ground, space. Soften, smile, breathe and listen without judgment or expectation. You are now much closer to neutral than you were before you even began that process. It's important for you to build a sense memory of what neutral feels like inside of your body so that you can recall that feeling quickly. Because there's that mental process where you are issuing the command, breath, center, ground, space, soften, smile, breathe, listen. But then you have to have that feeling, that knowing in the present moment of what it feels like to be neutral. It's a very calm space. I call it vacation dimension because I'm no longer in a constant chain reactive state based upon all of the content in my mind, which I am looking at one object of attention in my mind, I react to it, I interpret, I react to it, and then I look at this other thing and I interpret that, I react, and it just keeps going and going. And that's what keeps us in a constant state of agitation, which leads to anxiety. because you're in a constant reactive state. You have no downtime, no clear space in which to breathe, to listen, and to feel. So now we've gotten to soften, smile, breathe, and listen without judgment or expectation. Go into your heart center. If you need to place your hand on your chest and breathe into that, go right ahead. Place the other one on your hand on your belly. Just connect to yourself. And I want you to close your eyes and imagine in your heart space there is this beautiful crystal-like structure. It's sacred geometric design. And you can visualize that any way you choose. Inside that crystal-like structure is an aperture like the lens of a camera or a door that you can open. And I want you to open it just a little bit. And as you do, a light begins to shine from that opening. And it initially fills that structure around your heart. And now allow it to fill your whole body. There is no judgment here. This is the light of what I would describe as your inner, greater soul consciousness or soul light, which is constantly flooding through the heart chakra into the body. It's what keeps us alive. When that door or that aperture closes, then the energy leaves the body, and that's it, what we would call death in the physical realm. There's always an opening there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be living right now. But when you intend to open it more, the energy flows through that opening, through the heart, into the blood, into the body, at a much greater volume. This is neutral space as well. This is energy and information. This is the highest level of your inner guidance, by the way, because we can get inner guidance by tuning into the body, in the present space time, but as I mentioned earlier, we also have that greater soul connection of listening to our greater self. I use greater instead of higher because it's not a hierarchy of better. It's just larger. It's more expansive. So I want to open that gate, so to speak, and just let that come into my body. And now I have to hold that opening. This is called holding the space. Holding the space of the neutral verse, that dimension of neutrality, of infinite possibility, of infinite creativity. When you are there, it is so easy to create, to perceive directly with very little filtering. And this is where we get to the next level of asking the three prime questions. All right? So I'm going to go back just a little bit. We got into breath, center, ground, space, soften, smile, breathe, and listen without judgment or expectation. Acknowledge, accept, and allow whatever you're feeling, whatever you're experiencing, without judgment or expectation. Go into the heart. Open the heart gateway as much as you can to fill your body. And you can even fill the space around your body about the length of your arms, the width of a healthy energy field. Now that you're there, you must stay there. How do you hold this space? you give it your full undivided attention and intention. You do not shift your attention to your agenda, to some other narrative, to the past or the future. You stay right here in the present, in the body. Heart is open, breathing and beating. And now the first question is, what do I need now? And you just let that question land in that neutral space. It's like I have an image of dropping a pebble in a pond and it just ripples out, or an echo. And just feel. Don't think, feel. Thinking is a different dimension. We'll get to that in a moment. But for now, ask the question, what do I need now? Breathe and feel. Don't be judgmental if you don't get a clear answer right away. Because part of this is developing our multi-dimensional senses. And that is something that happens with practice. Now, you may say, what do I need now? Now that I've created and I'm holding the neutral space and I'm grounded and I'm present. And that may reflect back to you like an echo in one of many forms. It may come to you as a clear image. It may come to you as a feeling. It may come to you as a sensation. It may come to you in words, as a thought, as a voice. It may be a combination of all the above. This is a multi-dimensional response. It often comes in as many dimensional aspects. We often say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? You look at a picture and there's so much information encoded in that picture. Place, time, intention, action, feeling, right? That's what we do is we look at a picture and then we open it up into a greater dimensionality to experience it, to receive it. Same thing, only now it's happening on the inside. Now, you may already have that. You may be receiving images and feelings and sensations and thoughts all the time. If so, ask yourself if you are paying attention. Ask yourself, is it filtered? Are you listening through filters? And I'm saying to ask this in real time when it happens, because this will heighten and clarify your ability to perceive and receive. When you ask that question, what's going on right now, or what do I need right now? What do I need can be short-term, immediate, can be long-term, can be, what do I need right now in order to prepare for my class tomorrow? What do I need right now in order to acquire the tools and resources to get to where I want to be or where I want to go 3 weeks from now or 6 months from now? It's contextual. You're always asking questions within a context, and that's important to understand. Second question, what do I wish to experience? What do I wish to experience? Breathe. Okay. Now, life is experiential, but we have been conditioned and trained to focus so much on the mental dimension of our multi-dimensional being that we are often ask that question through the filter of the mental body. But the thing to understand about the mental body in and of itself has no feeling. The body has the feeling, the physical body and the emotional body. So when I say, what do I wish to experience? It's not a thought, it's a feeling. We learn through and understand through the experience, not just through the idea. What do I wish to experience in order to be more fulfilled in my life? I want to experience a relationship. I want to experience a satisfying career. I want to experience balanced, abundant health. I want to experience other countries and culture. You can wish for anything you desire as an experience. Now, this gets into manifestation. If you're familiar with the book The Secret, which came out probably like 20 years ago. So, The Secret was all about manifesting whatever you wish. When I read the book, I was disappointed because it made it too materialistic. It was all about things. And I instinctively felt like, well, no, that's kind of missing the point. It's about experience. That's why we're here as a soul incarnate, to have experience, not just items and things. So there's within an experience, there's essence and form. And it's important to be able to recognize essence and form. Best example, an old student client of mine wanted to meet the love of her life. And when I asked her how she imagined him as tall, blonde, like in a physical form. And then I asked, well, what are the qualities of this person? Had to be smart, had to be funny, had to be sensitive, have a sense of humor. She met that guy 2 months after we had that conversation. He didn't look anything like it. He was short, he was dark. He was not the man of her imagination in terms of form, but they are still married, have kids, beautiful relationship 20 years later. So it's important when we say, what do I wish to experience? That I am open to receive that experience in its essence, and I am willing to receive it in a form that I have not imagined or that is beyond my imagination. How will I know that it is the essence of that experience? When I come into contact with it, I will feel it. I will recognize it in my body, not in my thoughts. So we have, what do I need now? What do I wish to experience? And the last one is, what do I choose to create? What do I choose to create? We are creative beings. That is our nature. That is our birthright. You are creating an image of yourself right now, and it is cycling through your intentional field billions of times a second through multi levels and dimensions. If you let go of that image of creating now, your body falls apart, literally. It becomes chaotic and it ceases to function. This is at the core level creating our health and our state of being. And this is important to understand in the healing process, which I'll talk about on Thursday. We are creative beings. We're creating all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. You are creating your moment-to-moment experience. That's just at a core level. You're creating that experience based on what you choose to focus on, what you intend. So whatever you focus on, you will connect to and begin to experience. If you focus on an object in your space, you're going to feel and experience it on some level. Whatever you intend, you create instantly. This is something I want to talk about in tools and practices. You can create anything. The question is, can you create it easily and effortlessly, or is it really difficult? And there are different elements and dynamics that are at play in that creative process. I want to go back to the neutral space. The neutral space. It is so easy to create in the neutral space. All creation begins as a thought form. We have to be able to see it in our mind's eye, in our imagination, and it originates as a thought. Now, if I want to create easily and effortlessly, I want to create the neutral space first. And now I can generate a thought form without any filter, distortion, or interference. Boom, it's there, it's clear. That's the very first level of creating. The point is, we're constantly trying to create through a lot of interference, distortion, and filtering. And it becomes really difficult. By the time you have focused your energy with your intention through all of that, the amount of power and clarity that you have is greatly diminished. And that's important to understand. To create, you want to compose a song, write a poem, paint a painting, I don't care what it is, as an artistic expression of your creativity. Imagine sitting down to do that with the television on, with the news, with kids running around, with all of your cares and woes cycling through your mental body. How effective will you be at generating a pure thought form and then taking it to the next level of energizing it and manifesting it? Are you with me? So the point here is that the same process for tuning into inner guidance can also be used for the creative process, any creative process, whether it's creating health or creating a project of some kind. It's so much easier when you're doing it from that grounded, centered, neutral space of clarity.
I really appreciate the neutral space thing because I feel, I'm able to do stuff through the sheer brute force of my will and a lot of effort and a lot of,
Willpower.
and I'm achieving success, but it's coming at such a great cost.
Yes, tiring you out.
Then
So
it's feeling,
imagine creating with less resistance.
yes,
Because the
please.
more resistance you have, the more effort it takes, the more energy you spend. That makes it harder.
Yeah. So when we got to that like neutral state and we asked sort of what do I need now? Uh,
Hmm.
I I experienced that and then I immediately sort of caught myself like expecting or judging like what does now mean? Like am I hungry now? Do I have to go to the bathroom? Like what do I need this very instant? And then it
Sure.
went like then expand it even further and beyond, like what do I need 10 years from now? So how do
Mhm.
you avoid
Context.
expectations?
Context.
Do I provide the context, or do
Yes,
I
you
just
do.
find?
Yes.
Okay.
Only
Okay. Yeah,
you can
I was
provide it.
confused on that because I was like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was kind of going everywhere. And then I think once I did provide some context, I sort of got an answer, and I immediately it sort of shocked me and scared me, and I cast judgment on it. So how do you? And I was like, whoa, is that, really what I need
This
or
is a
what I?
really good point to bring up. Okay. So first of all, you're asking these questions within a context, and you can shift that context very quickly. What do I need now in terms of my physical well-being? What do I need now in terms of my relationship, my profession, whatever it is? Okay. Asking a general question, what do I need now without any context? You're going to get infinite, infinite numbers of possibilities, which is overwhelming. So we got to narrow it down by asking it within a given context. Now, you received something. Was it what you were expecting?
Absolutely not.
Right. And so now, this again, I am so surprised when I get clear guidance and it comes in, especially with something I was not expecting. It was like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. And I have to tell you, that's been happening more and more because it's about now. Often, when we're asking the question, we're asking it through a filter of our past or our expectation of the future based on a certain set of criteria of some kind. But we want truth in our answer. So when I say, what do I need now? And it comes in and it surprises me, I have a choice. I can accept that and say, wow, okay, I wasn't expecting to see that or feel that. I'm going to write it down and I'm going to consider and contemplate. That's one of the tools we'll be talking about Wednesday night. Contemplation. Okay. Your immediate reaction was judgment and then reaction to your judgment. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is a process. Acknowledge what came through. And sometimes it comes through like a lightning bolt so fast. Boom, it comes through you and then it passes beyond. And if you don't acknowledge it and make a note of it, it often seems to evaporate and leave your awareness. So the first thing is to acknowledge it, even if you didn't like it or were surprised by it, write it down. And then go back to your neutral space, create your neutral space again, and contemplate. Put that in the neutral space and just observe it. Breathe with it. Look at it. And allow it to inform you. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I mean, these are great observations. Okay. This was a good overview of sort of the elements of a practice for inner guidance, how to connect to and listen to yourself in that neutral space. And I'm just going to review very quickly. Clear the mind, calm the heart, listen to the gut. It's a multidimensional listening. Breath, center, ground, and space so that you're centered in the present moment. Soften, smile, breathe, and listen without judgment or expectation to whatever you're feeling and experiencing in the present. Acknowledge and accept and allow that. Go into the heart space. and open that gate to allow your higher, your greater soul light to come in through the heart chakra and fill the body, and hold that space without judgment or expectation. Now you are in neutral. You are embodying the neutral verse. And then you can ask your questions. What do I need, or what do I need now? What do I wish to experience? What do I choose to create? All of that can be done very quickly, by the way. I spent an hour describing it, but once you see it, you can follow those steps, and there you are. Okay? And eventually, we'll talk about how to do that in the midst of chaos and in very busy environments, so that you can shift into that neutral space and get a clear read of what is happening now and what you need in order to respond to what is happening. And from this point forward, just take that in, contemplate that, play with it. Play with it. There's a lot there. And it's really just the beginning, so that in every class here, we can go through that process faster and then start to work with the individual experiences, how to navigate, how to create. Okay. So thank you guys so much for coming. And just a reminder, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. my time, our tools and practices. And we're going to get into grounding, centering, breathing, balancing, detachment, timelines, all sorts of wonderful things. And Thursday morning at 9 a.m. my time is healing and transformation. And you're going to hear a lot of through line through all the classes. So the basic premise and concepts will be addressed in each class, but in a different context, and then expanded. So thanks so much, guys. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.